TGIF,
Oh,
right?
man. Happy Friday.
Do we want to do that again? It's fine. That's good.
No, I just think this is it. This is not it.
Okay, all right.
We made it.
Yes, made it, yeah.
Friday. Happy Friday, Bert.
Happy Friday.
Always know where you stand.
Always know where you stand day.
Ooh, what do we say, the hardest one?
Save the hardest one for last.
Yeah. I don't know if I like calling it the hardest one.
Yeah, that's right. We're giving people excuses.
We're giving them an excuse. Like, it's
this
the hardest one.
is the easiest one, actually. You should do it all the time.
You can go up to anybody and give them feedback, can't you?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's not that hard.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about always know where you stand, because as you said in the Monday episode, this really came from Emma, and said the most important parts of her career were those conversations, or the hardest parts of her career when she didn't know where she stood. So what does this mean?
Well, I think she tapped into something that we all knew to be true, whether we were admitting it or not. I think that's true for everybody. If you're struggling at work and not doing really well, a lot of times you do know.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't want to admit it, but you sort of know, like, this doesn't feel right. But when nobody is also leveling with you, especially even if you ask for feedback and you sort of get some sugar-coated stuff that's not exactly right, you're like, whoa, I am unsure. Yeah. I'm unsure. I don't feel great. I feel unstable in my job. And so always know where you stand is about trying to bring stability to how people feel about where they are, where they stand in their role. Because when you feel uncertain and when you feel unstable, when you feel insecure, you are certainly not at your best. You're looking over your shoulder. You're worried about what's to happen. You're not running with confidence. You're not thinking about ways to help grow and innovate. And so it's to do right by our people in that way. Now it's tricky though, because the value was very intentional. We didn't want to say you will always know where you stand. We actually kind of had that in an early version on the poster board. If you look, it's fading out now. But why I didn't like that is I felt it was too much on the leader to say you will always know where you stand, or on the company. And I really like this being kind of two-way. It's a two-way street. It's your responsibility to take control and responsibility for your own career to always know where you stand. If you don't know, to ask, right? To really seek feedback. That takes a ton of courage, a ton of guts, to ask somebody for feedback, or to ask somebody, hey, what could I be doing better? Or, hey, where do I stand with you? I don't quite know. Can you help me out? And so that is really what that value is all about. Yeah.
Well, any examples that come to mind for you? I mean, you're the CEO. You probably don't get those always you stay conversations as much. Maybe the board. I don't know. Yeah. But maybe in your career, a really impactful moment that one of those conversations really changed the trajectory for you.
Yeah, I mean, I go back to one, maybe my favorite. I mean, I get lots of feedback, probably more than you think. But there was one, Ashley Caselli, who worked for us in Dallas for years. She's a good friend. She was somebody. So I'd moved to I started in Atlanta, and I sold in Atlanta, recruited, recruited, sold, and was the sales manager in Atlanta, right under Glenn, our founder. And I had a really good first year as a sales manager in Atlanta, so much so that he said, hey, I'd love to move you to Dallas and help turn that office around. It's really struggling. And I was like, no problem, let's do it. I was like Glenn's guy. I was the man. I was going to be great. And I got to Dallas, and it was really bad. There was nobody was successful. Everybody was quitting. There's a lot of negative people there. I had to ask a lot of people to leave, and it was really difficult. And what I think I had learned was that when I was in Atlanta, I could get away with not being, well, one, I was still a new leader, but I could also get away with not being a really intentional leader, because Atlanta was such a great office, and it was there was no issues. And so I think anybody can lead in that type of environment. But when you're in a challenging environment, now you really learn just how good a leader you are, and maybe more importantly, where your gaps are as a leader. And so I wasn't learning it yet, because I thought I was still doing everything right, and everybody else was just wrong and bad and stupid. And I was having a lot of tough conversations, putting people on growth plans and performance plans and attitude plans and all this stuff. And I had developed a real hard edge. And the office had started to turn and had started to get better after a time. And that's where, as a leader, you got to know to zig and zag, to be like, okay, great, we're through that. Now I gotta I gotta hit the brakes now. I gotta pull off the gas. But I had not done that yet, and I was really now in this sort of I had a bad habit of just being way too hard on people. And Ashley Caselli grabbed me one day after Pisa, and she was like, "Hey, so I don't remember if she said this exactly, but this is how I remember it. She was like, "Hey, so that girl that you confronted at Pisa, yeah, she's in the bathroom crying now. So I don't know if you like want to have that reputation here or not, but if that's who you want to be, you're probably not going to have anybody to like lead here pretty soon. But we all like you, and we all like see what you're trying to do, and we're here for it. But you need to like work on your leadership style." And I was so, she hit me in such the right way. I didn't feel, I wasn't defensive. I was able to like, how she delivered the feedback was so sort of kind and funny and like between the eyes, and it was what I needed. And I was like, wow, I could tell instantly, like, thank you for this, because you have just snapped me out of a bad dream, it seems like, and I've got to change kind of right away. And it was really transformational for me in my own leadership journey, and I think it kind of probably saved me in leadership. And so yeah, it's a confrontation I go back to all the time. But I mean, kudos to her for having the courage to let me know where I stood. Yeah,
and I think the big thing about always know where you're standing is the giver and the receiver, right? You have to be open for both. You have to be open to the feedback, but you also have the courage to actually give feedback, and that's challenging. So we're making this a priority this year. Like, this is important to us. So why this year is this such a focal point for our organization?
Well, as you know, we have these priorities every year, usually about 6 of them, and we've liked having the shared values being one of the priorities. And how can you not have the shared values be a priority? But the shared values are really in the business, and I think it's in a way, you're not going far enough to just have the shared values. So we wanted to pull out what was one of the shared values to make a priority. Why not make it one of the most challenging to execute well, which is always know where you stand. It's always the one that people shy away from because it's awkward. It's awkward to give somebody feedback. What if they don't like me? What if they hate it? What if they react poorly? It hurts to hear it sometimes. And so it's always the one that we're going to struggle with the most. And so we wanted to put that right there. Also, yeah, I just think our world is only getting more complex. It's changing at a breakneck pace. We're not the simple IT staffing company that we once were. We have divisions in IGB and IGH, and we've got Evergreen, we've got International, we've got Direct Placement, we've got over 1,000 people at corporate now. I mean, we are a big and complex company with lots of people, with lots of personalities, with lots of people that we've hired, great people we've hired from the outside. And so, I think, always know where you stand, and being able to give and receive feedback in a growing and complex company gets really important. Otherwise, you start to just resemble every other sort of big, behemoth, soulless, don't care about you company out there. And I don't want us to do that. I think we're in we're $4.3 billion of revenue this year. We're going to do probably 4.6 or 7. I mean, we're going to be a $6 billion revenue company here pretty soon, and even more big and more complex, and people farther apart. And so let's take a value that is so up close and personal and awkward to wrestle with as this one, and let's put it right in the priorities.
Yeah, I love that. I'd love to hear your take on this. So sometimes I think we go always know where you stand is always those tough conversations, but I've seen it a lot where it's also a lack of letting someone know where they stand if they're doing well, or we're praising them, because sometimes I think we have these metrics. Of course, someone knows their spread's high, or they're hitting contests, or they're hitting their performance targets, right? And they know that they're doing well. But I think sometimes we miss out on the opportunity to actually praise people and let them know where they stand. Hey, you're doing a great job for me. You're doing a great job for this team.
I think that is so well said. People still nobody will ever tell you, why did you tell me good job? Nobody will ever be like, ooh, gross, you complimented me. So, but yeah, it's easy to see people that look like they have it all together. That deep down they're insecure and they're struggling with all sorts of stuff, and find what I would say is find something that's maybe unique about that person. You can compliment them on great sales numbers if you want, but find something that is really cool that they're doing that's a little bit different that you've noticed that's great, and absolutely let them know where they stand by complimenting them. People have this really weird habit about themselves, is that they tend to do things repeatedly where they get like positive praise for it. So like do that.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's a great opportunity, not just praising results, as you said, the right behaviors. Like there's certain behaviors you want to see people do. You praise that behavior. It's so powerful.
And try to be specific.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine to say great job, but it's a little better to say, hey, Jarrod, what I really liked about this podcast that we did, you did a great job, by the way, but I loved how prepared you were, how you had such good questions, so I didn't have to continue to think about what I'm going to say next in front of this audience, in front of the, it's kind of nerve-wracking, but I was in such good hands because I knew that you had prepared.
Yeah.
Be specific.
I think that's a big point because I think when we give feedback a lot of times, we're so specific. It's so like intentional and on the nose, but then we give praise. It's like, hey, great job. Hey, good job. Pat on the back. Good job, buddy.
Huge congrats.
Huge congrats. We have to match our level of specificity of our feedback with our praise. It has to be similar so it feels the same way, right?
Yeah, well said.
All right, so last thing, always understand, big priority this year. What's the call to action to the organization? What's the call to action to our people out there?
The call to action is way into that messiness. You know if there's people on your team that maybe they don't know where they stand, or if you've got a peer next to you that has bad breath, and you're like, bro, you got to brush your teeth. Like you know. Don't act like you don't. Don't act like you're like, oh, I don't know. I'm just like so into my work. No, everybody can contribute to this whenever they want. They just got to not be afraid to step into that. And so what I would say is, find your moments. Don't wait around too long. But force yourself into those spots to help speak to people from a place of deep care and support, but let your people know where they stand.
Yeah. Well, bro, this has been awesome.
Yeah, this has been great.
Super fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should do this again.
Yeah, we should do it again.
All right.
Same spot, same outfits?
Sounds good.
All right, let's do it.
All right, see ya.